This is my 1/12 scale silverlit Ducati. I brought this bike for around £30. Came untested and with no controller. I first started stripping it down and I realised it was an old crystal set controller and receiver. So I did nothing more than get 2 matching crystals and a controller that was compatible, and turned it on and it just started to glitch. Back wheel was spinning and the rider was leaning left and right, so I assumed it was an electrical fault. Started to look further into the bike and realised that it was dual motor. It was an integrated ESC and servo system to turn the rider from left to right. Yeah, it was pretty much a pain to work on. I started looking for the little micro servos and ESCs, thinking that one of them would fit it, and that's where I am today. Started looking for parts for the original bike and just couldn't find nothing to match. I think what it was the aerial was broken. The metal aerial that comes out of it was snapped, but I don't see how that would have been a problem, considering it was only the metal wire and the aerial was still, it would have just been a shorter signal, no? Yeah, I decided to start trying to look for parts and source my own parts that might fit in the bike, and I found a little micro ESC which I believe will fit in it. Maybe somewhere around here it will fit. You got a little servo up in here with an arm that comes down to the rider to lean him left and right. Basically the way the bike works is the yoke's run backwards, and as the weight leans this way, well, can't really give a good example, but as the weight leans, the wheel leans. So they say. I've never had one of these bikes, I've always wanted to try one. So today my mission is basically just to try and take it apart again, try and get the 2 brushed motors working off of one brushed ESC. If I can get the back wheel spinning, then I can look into fitting a micro servo to control the arm left and right to lean the rider. And then yeah, we can look into getting it out to a track. The problem that we have, guys, is it's 2 motors in there, 2 brush motors, so I'm gonna have to try and, well, I don't know, I've never had 2 motors running off of one ESC. I've heard that with brushed motors you can make it happen because you don't need no sensor for the start-up. I've heard with brushless you can make it happen, but the problem is when one motor stalls, it causes the other motor to be out of sync. So that is where I've got the theory to try and do this from. So let's start taking it apart, I suppose. Comes off. Yep, that's correct, that pops off. The rider's hands just pop off. So I didn't need to take his head off. Right, put that back on. So I don't lose the screw or lose his head. One day we can try weighting the rider in different ways and see if that helps. Head on backwards. Who knows, they might have just made it good enough that when you lean your rider from left to right, it actually works. Oh, and these are just some car wall hangers that I found on Thingiverse. Printed them out with my 3D printer so I can start hanging my cars up. Got more than a collection now. There you go, that is the rider off. And I believe the seat handles next. You'll all see what I mean about the ESC in 2 seconds. There you go, there's the main body off. As you can see there's the servo that I was talking about, and down in there comes through the bike is integrated ESC. So let's start getting that off. See where we're at after there. There's one panel off, the little chip that I found last time. Okay, so keep taking everything else off the bike. All the front fairings, just pops off. Little screw under here. That's off. That's where the battery would go. As you can see, I don't know if you can see, in here you've got a little diff which belt drives the rear wheel. And there's 2 motors in there, and them 2 motors is what we've got to power basically. So the ESC, as you can see, will take a little bit more off. Let me just keep taking that apart a second. It does just pop out. Push gently on either side. Out over the back, you can see the wiring goes up into there. Sorry, just a little bit off camera, didn't realise. So the ESC is up underneath this front panel, I believe. It seems to be where the receiver is, underneath here. So I'm gonna try to take all of the electronics out, including the servo. I'm going to try to get the motors out and just bench test if we can even get both of them motors spinning, because after I've got both of them spinning, I've also got to look into reversing one and keeping one spinning the right way and hoping that they match the same speeds and the same RPMs. Yeah, I don't know, let's just keep taking it apart. I suppose I'm going to start by taking the rear axle off. I'm going to take the front handlebars off, so it's literally just a bare chassis. There's the swing arm off. Don't push the pin out. And the diff. Got some grease and stuff that I can put in there. Let's try and take this pin out. No. I'll take that back. Let's not take the pin out. Let's just undo the screw, which will release the front handlebars. Telling you guys, if I can do this, anyone can do this. So here's to hoping, eh? What else can I possibly see? The only other thing, oh look, here it is as well. The reason why this bike didn't work is because the aerial was broken off. Just in between here, there's like a little metal aerial. So I don't see why, if my aerial was here, why would it not reach signal to the metal and into. So that is why I believe that the electronics are busted, and that is why I'm going to the extent to attempt to, well, modify it, I suppose. Everyone's saying that these bikes are really hard to modify, which, don't get me wrong, I've had a fair few problems, but I'm sure you could do something with it. A little brush motor in there, another one on the other side. Just shut that window. A little bit noisy. Moving over. Take the chip out, and this is what we're left with. So if you look in here, there's a clip just underneath where the seat would be, and there is 2 clips either side that you have to put apart, and you can pull the little ESC combo, or whatever you'd like to call it, out. Now I can see there that all of the little wires live and the 2 Fs I want to cut off. So let me just grab my snips. Can't find my snips, but got my old trusty knife. Careful when you're using a knife. You could cut yourself. There you go. All 4 wires cut now. Can keep getting this through. There you go. There is your ESC, servo and receiver combo. You know, I can see why people say that the bikes aren't very moddable. They are quite hard to work with, but I believe within there I've got a nice little space to get my ESC in. Well, it looks a little bit big, but I'm sure I can fit it in somewhere. Little micro servo at the back to lean the rider. I'm going to have to do a count of how many times I said lean the rider. But yeah, let's get the motors out now, get it down to a bare chassis. When worst comes to worst, I can solder them wires back on anyway. There you go. That's the first little motor out. Little DC motor, or little brushed motor, sorry. It'll be quite hard to find a motor to fit, so I'm hoping this ESC will power them. Both of them. The motor can go up there. The other one will be a bit easier to get out. Just push it out from this side. There we go. And there's our other motor. Got that together now. Got a basic chassis that we can work on. Integrate our own electrics, maybe find a little oil dampen shock for the rear, maybe even get some new front forks for it if we can find something to fit. If not, I can try and custom design something. I'm happy to do things like that. But yeah.